Hey Jill, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I have to admit, one of the reasons I was interested in talking to you is because you have a dog who shares my name. I saw when I was stalking your Instagram.
Yes, Tina. I wish she was in here right now. She should make an
Uh,
appearance.
yeah, I love that. You don't meet a lot
Yes.
of dog Tinas, so I was thrilled.
People get a kick out of the name. I'm like, it just feels so right
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, my dog, this is my dog, well, picture of my dog. She's named Frankie, and that was her rescue name, and I was just like,
Nice.
that's Frankie.
I like it.
So my first question. You started as a hairstylist, and so I'm very curious how you made the jump to filmmaking and then what kind of that transition felt like in terms of changing careers.
Yeah, well, I'm actually still a hairstylist.
Hmm.
That's like still my main gig. So yeah, and that connects to my horror movie, The Stylist.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was always a huge fan of horror movies and just films in general, but especially a nerd for horror. And but I made like silly stuff as a kid with my friends with like my dad's giant camcorder, but it's nothing I thought of. I didn't think it was anything I could even maybe consider seriously in any way till I was way older. Like I did photography and a lot of different was involved in like a lot of art growing up. And so yeah, I went to my first horror convention when I was almost 30 and saw films there, met the filmmakers, and that's like what really finally like made it all click. Like, oh, real people make movies. And so first I started just like a screening series showing them locally once a month, and through that met more and more filmmakers and just got inspired to like try to be part of it. So I was like snuck my way onto other people's films to try to help out and just learn. And after showing a lot of short films, I had a friend that had written something, Eric Havens, my first short film, Call Girl, they wrote. And I really just asked one day, I was like, can I direct this? Not knowing at all what the hell that even
Mhm.
means. And then once I did it, I was like, I love this. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to do this. And then just went from there.
So as a hairstylist, I know Ghost Game you didn't write, but you still have to visualize who these characters are coming in as the director. Do you start with their hair? Like, is that something that you are actively thinking about because hair is such a big part of your life?
Um, I'm sure I do think about it a little bit. It depends on the character, like, um, it's kind of secondary to finding the actor, I think. Totally depending. In Ghost Game, I wasn't thinking as much about hair. The stylist hair was wildly important, with
Mm-hmm.
even just special effects and wigs and things. But yeah, once we cast Kia as our lead, who played Laura, um, when we started to put together kind of like a color palette for the film, and green was a major part of it, and I felt like that represented the ghost gang, as I've dubbed them. Um, I don't think it was even my idea. I don't know whose idea it was to put the green in her braids. I love the idea. We discussed it together. I was like, it'd be really cool if you got braids for it. And then we thought, oh, what if we put neon green, which I'm sure was also our hairstylist and makeup artist idea, Emily Bravo. But yeah, I definitely consider it when I see actors too, like just something unique. And our other lead, Zayn Haidar, he has like amazingly curly,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful hair, which I was like, oh, that's gonna look awesome on camera.
So Ghost Game is written by Adam Cesare. Did I pronounce that name right? Caesar?
Caesar, yeah.
Caesar. Okay. How did you all meet, and then what made you interested in doing directing Ghost Game?
Yeah, we met through another project of his. Some My agent actually represents also Jamie Nash, who's a writer who wrote lots of Ed Sanchez's other films outside of Blair Witch, like Lovely
Mhm.
Molly, Exists, Altered. And so I met Jamie and Adam through a script they had written, not Ghost Game, a different film years ago. And I was attached to direct that one, and we were kind of trying to see if we could get that made. Like a lot, like I've had a million films we haven't yet made, or maybe never will get to. But that's how I first connected with him. And then it was almost probably 2 years later that Ghost Game was like financed and ready to be made, and they were looking for a director. And Adam suggested me, and then it was a case of like networking for 10 years paying off, where Ed Sanchez, director of Blair Witch, was also a producer on this, who I all
Mm,
knew outside of Adam. And when Adam suggested me, Ed was like, "Oh, I know Jill. I'll reach out to her." And so then I loved the script. I was mostly attracted to like how layered it was. It was like
mhm,
we've got our home invasion story. We've got a haunted house film going on, and then lots of other layers revealed through the film. And it's still lots of mystery left unanswered at the end.
mhm. And you mentioned your first feature stylist, and with Ghost Game, the two have very voyeuristic themes, but they play out in different ways. So, what is it about the idea of voyeurism or watching other people that intrigues you as a filmmaker?
Um, I love that you brought that up because someone else pointed out to me not long ago. I'm like, oh my, it was not an intentional thing that like everything I've made, almost everything I made has voyeurism. Even back to the short film I mentioned is about a guy killing a sex worker on
Mm,
a webcam. So it's
mm,
everything I've done has this in it. And I don't know what it is. Yeah, like I was saying, it wasn't intentional, but I've always loved like people watching.
mm,
I love even me and my best friend when we would go to concerts when we were younger, we were like concert fanatics, go to see anything. We like sit at the exit and just like watch everyone walk out and make up stories about people. Not be mean to people. I don't like that kind of people watching,
yeah.
but so I think I don't know if we all have maybe like a little bit of voyeuristic tendencies in us, not to a criminal extent. But I do see these things and it's very it's like therapy. I'm like, what does this mean? Why do I keep doing this? Uh and the theme of kind of like obsession is in a lot of my
Mm.
stuff too. So I'm like, I definitely have obsessive compulsive issues myself, but yeah, it's everywhere and I just think I love to watch people not when they're not in a creepy way.
That's a good
Put
caveat.
a warning on there, yeah.
So from a directing standpoint, like what do the logistics of a horror movie look like? Because I imagine it's a lot more intense than say just a drama. I mean, you have some stunts in this, you have some blood work, but what does that look like? Do you find enjoyment in that part of the directing process, or is that like more of a headache?
No, I love that stuff. It definitely is like way more challenging in the days that you're doing like practical special effects with blood or whatever it might be, or any of the stunts. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to work out the way you hope, which I think also that makes it exciting, but stressful because you never know like if there's a blood gag, is it even going to land on the camera or just like spray the total opposite direction? Um, And then stunts themselves are extra scary because we want to make sure everyone, of course, is safe and not and feeling confident in whatever they're doing. This was my first time doing stunts, actually. I had worked on other films as like a producer or in other roles with some stunts, but the first time directing and working with a stunt coordinator, which our stunt coordinator, he goes by Mascot. His name's Don Massarelli. Was awesome. Was so good at speaking and teaching. I would say he could teach anybody anything. I feel like he's just such a caring person that makes you feel like he's got your back and you can do whatever the heck it is. So it was really fun to work with all that stuff, but yes, challenging. And that kind of stuff you have to work out way in advance to figure anything out. Like you need to know how we're going to or we kind of design the effects around the camera work like it's all connected. So you have to know which thing comes first. Are we going to build this bloody body or figure out which angle we're going to shoot it from? Because there's no point in doing work to this side of it if we're not going to see it, stuff like that. So a lot does go into it's like which one comes first. You've got to plan out everything for everything else to line up in these dominoes. Um, which actually one of the things we had this not too we have a dead body. I won't say who's in the movie, And we didn't have a lot of time to build it, so I was kind of thinking we wouldn't show it too much. And then it was freaking awesome. And we saw it. We were like, we gotta shoot the hell out of this thing and show it as much as possible.
I
So
think
yeah,
I can
you
guess
never
the
know.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can guess the dead body you're talking about, and it looks awesome. You're totally right. You guys shot on location in Hagerstown, which I didn't realize there was already a connection to the Blair Witch Project. But as someone who grew up in Maryland, we always knew where the Blair Witch Project was filmed, and Hagerstown is not too far from it. So it's really cool that like it keeps coming up. But what was it like to just take over a house entirely for filming? I imagine it helped a lot with the planning of the logistics of the stunts and everything.
Yeah, that house was a dream come true to shoot in. Like just on a personal level, I would love to just go into a house like that, but especially to shoot in it and just have, I mean, it was like a dream house from the script when we thought, I just thought maybe we'd be lucky to get some like old house in the country that just looks
Mhm.
creepy. And they show me this, I'm like, what? This is a possibility? It's like built in the 1700s or pieces of it. It
Oh,
was like got bigger and bigger through the years. Um, and it was such a dream come true to be in that house. And you bring up Blair Witch, I'm such a horror nerd myself that I even like on days off or like after we stopped shooting, went to multiple locations. Like I
no
went
way.
to, why can't I think of the town where like the
Burkittsville, right?
Burkittsville for
Yeah,
sure. The mayor showed me around at the cemetery. I went to all different spots. It was so freaking cool.
that's awesome. Yeah, that was always a, if you were brave enough in high school, you made the drive out to Burkittstown. I was not. Um,
You
um,
gotta go. It's beautiful.
I know I need to go. I need to go back as like a more seasoned horror movie fan now.
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier, but you start a monthly horror showcase in Kansas City, where you're from, and Ghost Game is going to have a Kansas City run. So, what does it mean to you to get to return to your hometown and play your horror movie along with some of the greats that you've played previously?
It's so awesome. Screenland Armor, where we're showing it, has just been like the most supportive thing in my life for as far as filmmaking goes. And even that's also, yeah, where we hosted the monthly screening series. Adam Roberts, one of the owners there, has been so helpful, who also co-founded Panic Fest here in Kansas
Hmm.
City with Tim Canton. And so actually Pan mumbling. Ghost Game premiered at Panic Fest here in Kansas City, but so it was awesome to be in the hometown, but you know how festivals are. It's like
Mhm.
mostly the festival crowd. So a lot of my local friends and family couldn't come to that. So to be able to do like a actually to have a theatrical, even a tiny one of any kind is like huge for me. I didn't think it would happen. I know I thought we'd at least get it, try to show it here, but it's so exciting. And we're starting it a little bit later just so that I can for sure be here because I'm going to go to a couple other screenings. But it's so exciting and it feels like full circle. In fact, my friend Erica Kaufman, who run her and her husband run the company Atomic Cotton, the t-shirts, and
Mhm.
I'm spoiling this now, but we're releasing a shirt with them for Ghost Game, and they're going to be at that screening selling it, and it feels very full circle because like Erica created our poster for our first short film showing like at the same theater 10 years ago, and
Wow.
so it just feels it's so cool to still all be connected and like working together.
That's awesome. That's so, I'm sure this shirt looks sick. That sounds so
Yeah.
cool. Um, my last question for you. The premise of Ghost Game is it's an internet challenge essentially to see how long you can hide in a person's house, kind of wreak a little havoc, but like not do anything crazy. Of course, things go wrong. But I want to know how long you think that you could play the Ghost Game hidden in somebody's house
Um, if I was,
successfully.
yeah, if I was with someone else that was more brave, like if I was Zane or Vin and Laura was taking me, maybe I could do it for a little while. But I'm actually like a sissy about like if I were just to go in that house by myself
Mhm.
before I now I'm comfortable there, but if like the first time by myself, I would be very scared walking around in the dark. Um, like because me and my assistant director went up during pre-production when there was a full moon. I was like, oh, I want to see the house in the full moon and scare myself. So we like so with that and we succeeded. We like the basement door is on the outside and it was like open way further than it was previously when we had left the house and we're like, who, someone's down there. Um, but yeah, I don't think I would do very well. No.
All right, well, thank you so much, Jill. This was a
Thank
great
you.
great time.
Thank you so much.